Have everyone's attention. Hey, how y'all doing today? Good. I said, how are y'all doing today? Good. Great. First off, I want to thank y'all for coming out here today and celebrating with us the glorious man, Dr. Martin Luther King. Give us a hand for that. First off, I just want to thank the upper administration for coming. Clapping hands for them. Dr. Cat, Sam Miller, Dr. Morrison Shetland, all the faculty and staff here at Western Carolina University. We'd like to thank y'all for coming. Clap it up for y'all. Just first things first, at the beginning, everyone got a lanyard and everyone got a pamphlet. On the pamphlet, there's chants. So while we're marching, if you don't know, I know last year everybody didn't know what we were saying, but now they're on the pamphlet so you can read along with it. Did anyone not get a lanyard or a pamphlet?
I didn't.
Okay.
I have a pamphlet.
Okay. Brothers, can y'all pass them out? Like I said before, on the pamphlet it has the chants. On the back of the pamphlet it has the map on it. If you look below the map, there's a nice little fun fact. Read that. Nice. Read that. That's nice. Sorry. Before we start, everyone got signs, hashtags with different various words and things on them. Different quotes of Martin Luther King. We ask y'all to hold those up nice and proud while we're marching. We get some good pictures that'll look nice. Also, before we start, we want to get a quick prayer in. That'll be done by Brother Ray Whiteley. There you go.
Everyone bow their heads, please. Father God, we just thank you for letting us be here today, Lord God. Lord God, we thank you for the gathering you have gathered us today. Lord God, we thank you just have a big impact on this community right now, Lord God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, guys, before we start, I just want everyone to understand why we are out here today. Yes, we are out here in the spirit of friendship. We're out here in the spirit of gathering together. But there's one major importance that we want everybody to understand. People like Dr. Martin Luther King died for this right for us to be even gathered in the same place together. For us to be right here, right now, allowing us to march together in the spirit of brotherhood and friendship is a major thing. And we all need to keep that in mind while we're marching this nice route today. I'm asking that while you're marching, talk to people, get their understanding, but also try to understand that all we're doing today is for the people after us can do the same thing. This isn't just about us. This is about the people that come after us. This is about our kids. This is about everything that they died for and that we'll continue to build on as long as we keep going. At this time, I'm gonna read an excerpt from Dr. Martin Luther King's March on Washington. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the people's injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. Let's go and start marching, y'all.
stop?
At the HFR building.
All right, sounds good. All right.
I don't even know if it's an accident or a purpose.
Because I feel like I relate.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Justice! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? No peace! No peace! No justice! 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 No peace! No justice!
I'm going to read excerpt.
Everybody quiet down, please.
MLK, Memphis, Tennessee, April 3rd, 1968. And then I go into Memphis and some began to talk about the threats or what would happen to me from our sick white brothers. But I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me. Because I've been to the mountaintop and I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its grace. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land.
Amen.
Okay, Dion. Yeah. Confidence.
How y'all doing? The world is changing, and anyone thinks he can live with alone is sleeping through a revolution. We must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools. Racial injustice is still the black man's burden and the white man's shame. The government must certainly share the guilt. The individual must share the guilt, and even the church must share the guilt.
All right. So the next chant we're going to do is the first one.
We're gonna practice it right now, so make sure everybody gets the hang of it. Y'all ready?
Yep.
All right, you ready? We marching.
We marching
To justice.
to justice
For our sisters.
for our sisters,
For our brothers.
for our brothers.
Everybody got the hang of it? You wanna do it again? Y'all good?
We got it.
Again? Okay. We marching
We marching
to justice.
to justice
For our sisters.
for our sisters,
For our brothers.
for our brothers.
Y'all ready?
Whoever in the front.
We marching
We marching
to justice.
to justice
For our sisters.
to justice
For our sisters.
for our sisters
And our brothers.
and our brothers.
We marching
We marching
to justice.
to justice
For our sisters.
for our sisters
And our brothers.
and our brothers.
We marching
We marching
to justice.
justice. To justice. For our sisters. For our sisters. And our brothers. And our brothers. No justice. No peace. 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 No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. Now. No peace. No justice. 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 No peace.
I've been to the mountaintop. If you will protest courageously and yet with dignity and Christian love, when the history books are written in future generations, and the historians will have to pause and say, there lived a great people, a black people, who injected new meaning and dignity into the veins of civilization. This is our challenge and our overwhelming responsibility.
Can we have a moment of silence for everybody who fought for equality among all races? Thank you.
Now I know all y'all out here because we marching for a purpose. I just want y'all to think about that purpose. Think about the people around y'all necks that have been affected by this purpose. Now that being said, I'm gonna sing a song to just put in light of like the traveling that we've been from the past till now and then on. Because we are free. They fought for us to be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more weeping, no more weeping, no more weeping over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Oh, and before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
last leg of our march. So we're gonna go ahead and head towards the UC.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Say good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you for coming. Today we're here to honor Father Martin Luther King. So we have a guest speaker, Stephen Freeman. We're starting out with your name, each beginning, and working on it yesterday. Avery Freeman is currently the executive director of Honorary Coalition and the first vice president of Jackson County branch of the NAACP. He's a lifelong community advocate who has run for political office in impressive 4 times since 1988. His work has been instrumental in passing some of the most important environmental legislation in North Carolina, including the North Carolina Clean Smokestacks Act in 2002 and the Nuclear Waste Referendum in 1986. He has been very active in moral Monday movement and continues to work for causes that represent social, economic, and environmental justice. If you want a ticket on the NAACP bus to Moral March on Raleigh on February 10th, contact Avery. Thank you. Please come over here.
Hello, my name is Avon. Thank you, Enrique, for inviting me to speak and for all of you who organized this event. Let me begin by saying how honored I am to be speaking before you today. Thank you for allowing me to express these thoughts to you on this special day that celebrates the life and work of perhaps the greatest activist, community organizer, and human being America has ever produced, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Over the past 50 years or so, my life has been deeply influenced by Dr. King, Mohandas Gandhi, and others who have chosen to nonviolently fight for causes of justice. I have marched for civil rights and to end unjust wars, to be a voice to save the environment, to shut down coal and nuclear power plants, to advocate for conversion to solar, wind, and energy efficiency, to address climate change, to stop voter suppression, to fight for universal health care coverage, to fight for a minimum living wage, to end student debt for public college education, to stand up for indigenous rights and immigrant rights. These are some of the causes for which I've dedicated much of my time. But in that time, I've often encountered those who say, I am wasting my time. These individuals laugh and say that ordinary people don't have the influence to change the world for the better. They say that we are small and powerless. We should just accept the world for what it is and live our lives enjoying as much as we can. It is not our responsibility to save the world. Those individuals are dead wrong. A single human being is a powerful force on this earth. Every step we take and every word we utter reverberates and influences the world around us. When a few people work together toward a common goal, it is extremely powerful. Almost all major changes that have taken place throughout history began with just a few people and a plan. When masses of people combine their efforts in an organized manner, it can be overwhelming and unstoppable. Consider the women's suffrage. Prior to the passage of the 19th Amendment of the Constitution in 1920, women did not have the right to vote or hold office in our country. The first attempts at publicly organizing for women's rights in 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York, were met by derision in the press. Participants in the movement were beaten and jailed. There was not a single woman in Congress or in any state legislature to come to their aid. Yet somehow, the movement prevailed. And because of the real power of people organizing and persevering, the 19th Amendment eventually passed in an all-male Congress, and the necessary 36 state legislatures ratified. Many successful grassroots struggles in our history can be underscored. The abolitionist movement that triumphed despite the fact that the South had become economically dependent on the barbaric institution of human slavery. The civil rights movement of the 60s that boycotted the public bus system in Montgomery, who marched from Selma to Montgomery, who stood up to George Wallace, Sheriff Clark, and their henchmen, and broke the back of institutionalized segregation in the South. The labor movement that successfully organized to improve the quality of life for all working people despite the guns and nightsticks of the robber barons and their political lackeys who were intent on increasing their wealth on the backs of underpaid men, women, and children. Because of the labor unions that were at one time illegal in our nation and that people died for in the struggle to create, we now take for granted such amenities as weekends, a 40-hour work week, overtime pay, a ban on child labor, and a minimum wage, as inadequate as that may be at this time. Before labor unions, if you asked for a raise for working at the coal mine, you were told to leave and that someone else would gladly take your place for $5 a day, and by the way, your credit is no longer good at the company store. And we don't have to go back that far to witness the power of the people organizing and working together. 10 years ago, no one would have believed that today, in the year 2018, it would be illegal for any of the 50 states to ban gay marriage. No one would have believed that medical marijuana would be legal in 29 states and the District of Columbia. No one would have believed that in 2017, more than half the Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives and 16 U.S. Senators would join John Conyers and Bernie Sanders in sponsoring a single-payer Medicare for all health care insurance bill in Congress. The power of the people is real, and when we organize and work together for a just cause, it's real. And in North Carolina, in 1986, an incredibly powerful grassroots effort overcame the influence of the U.S. Department of Energy and the nuclear power industry, who wanted to locate a high-level nuclear waste repository here in the western mountains of our state, where Haywood, Madison, and Bunker County come together, about 30 miles from where we sit. The grassroots opposition was so powerful that we compelled the state government to hold a referendum on this issue in a state that does not normally provide for citizen referendums. And on May 6, 1986, 93% of the voters in our state voted against the location of a high-level nuclear waste dump in our state, and the DOE got out of town fast and never came back. All right. In 2002, another very powerful grassroots effort overcame the initial resistance of Duke Energy and the public utility lobby and passed the North Carolina Clean Smokestacks Act that mandated a cleanup of the 14 antiquated coal-burning power plants in our state that were responsible for about 65% of the deadly air pollution that was plaguing the health, plants, and animals throughout the southeast region. But we don't have to go back even that far in our state to prove the power of the people is real. In the last year alone, we have seen regressive laws overturned one after the next, despite the all-out immoral efforts of the most ignorant, backward, and illegitimate state governments we've seen in North Carolina since the Civil War. From an economic boycott, down went HB2, the infamous bathroom law. In the courts, down went the new Jim Crow voter ID law. Down went partisan and racial gerrymandering of congressional and legislative districts. And make no mistake, this would not have happened without people taking to the streets in the Moral Monday movement. None of this would have happened without the organizing of the NAACP and its vast network of grassroots allies. None of this could have happened if the people who participated believed they were powerless and their activism was useless. In closing, I'm going to paraphrase a metaphor Dr. King used in his letter from the Birmingham jail. When confronted by those who voiced discouragement for him, there were those who said to him, "This is not the right time. The political climate is not conducive for the type of change for which you are advocating or the methods you are using." And Dr. King said to them that we are not thermometers here to measure the temperature. We are thermostats here to change.
I just have to say, I'm in the biology major, so y'all didn't get what he was saying, asking the changes that you helped make, especially in North Carolina. This is stuff we learned about in class. So you really had a lesson right there. So, y'all, please keep moving on. At the end of the march, we gave out names. I don't know if you guys had time to take
reflection. At this time, we'll have Dr. Enrique Gomez talk about the Moral Monday March.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's okay. And wasn't that an awesome speech by our very own Albert Friedman? Thank you so much. Okay, and I want to thank the brothers of Alpha Pi Alpha once more for your leadership. You know, so it is very easy to be caught in the sentimentality of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, isn't it? Because we can subscribe to that saccharine sweet thing they can find on picture books in elementary school without really seeing the complexity of that legacy. Because we have to ask, well, it is 50 years, it's going to be 50 years since MLK was slain for his work. 50 years. What was he doing in Memphis the day in which he was murdered, assassinated? 1968, Memphis, Tennessee. 1,300 black men from the Memphis Department of Public Works went on strike, a strike that the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, called and supported. Martin Luther King arrived on April 3rd and was persuaded to speak by a crowd of dedicated sanitation workers who had braved another storm to hear him. And that is when we see that very famous speech where he sees the mountaintop. And what does he say? He might not be there, get there with you. Will not be there with you. But he knows that we as a people, what does he say at the end? We'll get to the promised land. Thank you. Now, he's going to finish that speech to say. Now let me say, let me say that I move to my conclusion that we have got to give ourselves to this struggle until the end. Nothing would be more tragic than to stop at this point in Memphis. We've got to see it through. And when we have our march, you need to be there. If it means leaving work, if it means leaving school, be there. Be concerned about your brother. You may not be on strike, but either we go up together or we go down together. And it wouldn't be a pity if we were to lose the fight and lose sight of our goals. Wouldn't it be a pity at this moment to actually do this? Because what was he doing? He would be dead less than 24 hours after he said these words. What was he doing? He was organizing something called the Poor People's Campaign. 1968, a mass movement to bring the focus on poverty. Why? Because you cannot address the racialized policies in this country without addressing poverty. In this country are white. So you need a coalition, black, white, and brown together to address these issues. Now we as an institution, Western Carolina University, an academic community of students, faculty, and staff, of scholars, each one of us will have equal moral standing to raise questions, to bring things to the fore. We have a moral imperative within our scope to talk about poverty. Why? Because we have the tools. Because we have the tools of critical analysis, of research. We can support policy-based solutions as well as initiative in the private sector, in nonprofits, in a moral mass movement. We can be a part of it. Now, one way to do this is that 50 years now, the moral movement is bringing forth the Poor People's Campaign again. 50 years, we're going to take the baton right where MLK left it. Because guess what? 50 years after he was slain, there are 15 million more Americans below the poverty level than at that point, which was already a crisis. So we have that moral obligation to do this. So I invite you to do this. If you indeed want to be that moral movement, Poor People's Campaign activist, just take a moment to do this, because we have these things. I want to invite you to do the following. If you could please text the word action, it doesn't have to be uppercase. Action, just like I have on the screen behind me, to the number, and I'm going to do it with you right now, so that we all are going to do that together. Okay, to the number 90975. 90975. If you could type the word action, that's the word action. If you could take a minute to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and do it, there we go. How do you do this? If you want to do this, you will receive updates so you can participate in whatever moral movements, Poor People's Campaign actions, especially in an area, because we have an imperative specifically to address the problems of poverty in Southern Appalachia where we live. Okay. Lastly, for the past 12 years now, there has been what's called a moral march, also known as the Historic Thousands on Jones Street's People Assembly in Raleigh, North Carolina. This was an initiative of the NAACP, led at the time by the Reverend Dr. now Bishop William Barber II, to specifically address what? A march to address what? Voting rights, that they should not take our votes away. Fair wages, reforming the criminal justice movement, women's rights, LGBT rights, environmental protections, fair wages. All of that is the instance of a broad coalition of men, women, black, white, brown people, LGBT people, straight people, people in the labor movement, people in business, people in government, people in nonprofits, people of faith, people not of faith, who believe in a moral arc of the universe, to work together to address these actions, because if we're not part of a fusion movement to address this movement, this issue, things are not going to happen. And if we do not have the leadership of students in our university to address the most critical issues in our time, things are not going to happen. So with that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to play a video, but let me just announce that the NAACP of Jackson County is offering scholarships for people to join us on a bus to rally. That is going to be on Saturday, February 10th of this year. February 10th this year. If you want to join us when you're not a student, we're asking for a donation of $50 to help cover that. This is going to be the third time that we've done it this year. But I'm going to play this video, and in this video you're going to see not just the Reverend Barber, a former president of the state conference of the NAACP. We also have our new president, new elected president of the NAACP. So I'm just going to play this as a little promo, and I'll hand it back to
$1 million and spend it to suppress your vote.
And lower it just a little bit more. Good.
They took $6 million and spent it to suppress your vote. Nobody would spend $6 million to take something from you that wasn't important.
And we are going to make our way to the polls, and we're going to bust them open.
We come here to sing our song by speaking truth to power. We started coming here 11 years ago, and we've been coming here ever since because some powers are seeking to build cages around us. They are building cages around our educational systems that we will resist. Cages around our healthcare systems that we will resist. Cages around immigration that we will resist. Cages around women's rights that we will resist. Cages around our LGBTQ rights that we will resist. Cages around labor unions that we will resist.
The guy in the White House is a mortal, not a god. The members of the General Assembly are mortals and not God. The members of the Congress, they are mortals, not God. Bowing down is not an option. We will stand up again, we will march again, we will preach again, we will organize again. We are black, we are white, we are Latino, we are Native American, we are Democrat, we are Republican, we are independent, we are people of faith, we are people not of faith, we are natives and immigrants, we are business leaders and workers and unemployed, we are doctors and the uninsured, we are gay, we are straight, we are students, we are parents, we are retirees. We are North Carolina. We are America. And we're here and we ain't going nowhere.
And this is the largest rise for social justice march in the South since Selma 1965.
Whoa.
Okay, 80,000 people marched last year. Let's hope to make it 90,000. With that, thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to see you in Raleigh on February 10th. Thank you so much.